So ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to our final advanced preview for the 2021 season. I'm Mark Coman from Paul's Photo and the Creative Photo Academy. And tonight we're going to talk about our project class, our longest running advanced series class. So this is in our 400 series, the advanced series of classes. You know that we have beginning boot camp, intermediate, and advanced photography. So if a lot of you feel like you're a little outgunned by what we're going to talk about tonight, that's fine. Learn from what we do tonight and then put that in your goals to work your way up the ladder. Start at boot camp, move to intermediate. You know, we'll talk about the different attributes of the different classes. In January, on the 4th, we're going to be doing a preview for intermediate. And on the 5th, we're going to be doing a preview for boot camp to help you guys know if that's the right class for you. Advanced photography has been one of my passions since 1991 when we started our first group in advanced photography. This was the 30th, on December 8th, we had the 30th annual Advanced Photography Christmas gathering. This year it was on Zoom. It was fun. We had a great time. And it's great to gather the group together. You know, this year we've expanded the advanced program and taken it all online. So many of you from around the country and even around the world tonight are joining us, and it's very exciting. So make sure that you open up the chat window in Zoom and chat to all panelists and attendees so that I can see the questions. So someone asked, what camera am I using? I'm using my Nikon Z7 II as my webcam tonight. So you know that all of the camera manufacturers have now a web utility. So I have plugged my Nikon Z7 into my MacBook Pro. I'm using a Rode VidMic Pro as the microphone. That's why you're hearing me so clearly. And I have a Godox 12x12 light panel lighting me. So I'm shooting on the 24 to 70 2.8 lens at about 50 millimeters at aperture 2.8. So I'm wide open on the aperture, and that's why you love the look, right? And one of the cool things about the new technology in the Z7 II is the face tracking focus. Look what happens if I step out of the way, right? It focuses on the cameras in the background. And then when I step in, it recognizes my face and just locks right in. So pretty cool technology. One of the great advances in using your real camera for doing your Zoom meetings. And as we're all doing Zoom meetings, I think it's very professional and very stylistic to use your camera as your webcam to build a little bit of a background behind you, so that you're not using one of those funky Zoom backdrops. It looks more professional, it looks more polished, it looks more like you care than you're just sitting in your dining room in your pajamas. Now, it's okay for you guys to be in your pajamas tonight because we don't have the videos on, we don't have your microphones on, but if you're doing one of our regular classes here, if you're doing work things, school things, I think you should really try to up your game to have a high quality presentation. So, all right. Any recommendations where to shoot beautiful Christmas lights? Yes, the Torrance Christmas lights area is awesome in Southwood Riviera, but it's jam-packed already. You know, hour wait to get in your car. There are lots of great Christmas lights around. One of these nights I'm going to head to downtown LA because usually there's some pretty cool stuff down there. But really we need to be staying home and staying in and not mixing around. You know, we need to be careful these days. So anybody else have any questions before we get rolling here? I just want to give a shout out. I know that Mark Crace is here. Mark is one of our intermediate instructors. Let's see if I scroll through the list real carefully. And Mark has participated, John Peterson is here. John has participated in the advanced project class for many years, but Mark teaches the intermediate exposure and composition class. So pretty exciting stuff. Hey, Mark, thank you for writing in. It's nice to see everybody. So let me get rolling here. So let me tell you what we're going to do. So first of all, I'm going to go through the different class offerings that we have at Creative Photo Academy. I know some of you have been to many of these, have seen this before, but I just want everybody to figure out where you are on the list. You know, a lot of you have signed up for these, for the previews, and you say, oh my gosh, that's over my head. That's fine, because we have lower level classes. This is advanced photography, and it's not for people who own an advanced camera. It's for people who are no longer worried about their apertures and their shutters and know the camera, know the gear, but now want to concentrate on get better, creative, more artistic photos. That's what advanced photography is all about. So let me share my screen. Why did that go all the way over there? All right, can somebody tell me if you can see the welcome Paul's photo sign? Yes, thank you, Teresa, awesome. All right, so welcome everyone, welcome tonight. Paul's Photo is a camera store. My dad started in 1961. I've been working here every day since 1974, and we've been working hard for all of our 60 plus years to be the best camera store that we can be. And luckily our local newspapers have recognized us as the best camera store. You know, we've always won their contests since 1999 when they started. In 2012, we were awarded the best camera store in the United States by Digital Imaging Reporter magazine. It's an awesome honor, and we do this because of you guys, because we want to serve you the best. And we live by our core values of customer service, community, and sustainable business. You know, I take it very seriously that today, as many small businesses and many brick and mortar businesses are shuttering, that we remain committed to being here to serve you, to give you what you need, both with the equipment, in the lab, you're doing your printing and scanning, and here on the Creative Photo Academy side, where we're going to educate you and inspire you. And I hope you guys are ready for a fun, exciting evening. Hey, Lori, how are you? It's great to see you there. So I want to invite you to be part of our community, because we have an awesome community. And one of the things that the pandemic has done for us has expanded the community. You know, my buddy Steve lives in Idaho, and he's long wanted to take a class, but he's not going to drive down from Idaho to take a class. But now he can do it online. And I know a number of you, Audrey is here from Illinois. Many of you, Donna is here from Northern California tonight. And you guys are now can be part of this community. And it's so awesome that happens. So you've seen the 4 advanced previews over the last 2 weeks. So a week ago Thursday, Dennis did his influences photography. On Monday, Corey and I did the opening doors, moving the inspirational images. Last night, Jill and I did the conscious critiques class, and I thought that was an awesome session, well worth a listen. If you didn't participate last night, I would go give that a listen, because we talked about some pretty important stuff. We previewed our class, but we also talked about some great ideas. And tonight I'm going to talk about the projects and the project class. Some of you are ready for that. Some of you are not. Some of you need to think about intermediate. January 4th, intermediate preview. January 5th. Bootcamp preview. Those are available online. You can register. You'll see an email coming from the Creative Photo Academy shortly on that to help you. So remember, the boot camp is our beginners class, and it's also to give you confidence. In boot camp, you'll learn about f-stops and shutter speed and the buttons on your camera and spot metering and creative composition and using depth of field, all those concepts. If you are not solid on those concepts, I recommend that you do boot camp. If you say, what's an f-stop? What do you mean by spot metering? You're a boot camp student. If you've got a handle on your f-stops, but you still think about it, you want more control and you want to understand how exposure works or why landscape pictures work better, that's intermediate. In advanced, we talk about creativity and moving beyond. You know, it's very exciting what you're going to see tonight. I hope you enjoy tonight. So all the classes we do at Creative Photo Academy, all of these series of classes are all live. So you'll have a live instructor on the end of his or her computer. You'll gather live. They're also recorded. So if you miss the lesson, or if you're in a time zone that's not desirable, you can participate, you can be part of it. So, and they're all based on the lesson, the instruction, the inspiration, an assignment where you go out and practice. Because if you don't practice photography, you're never going to get it. You can stand and take pages and pages of notes and listen to the great photo instructors in the world and read every book and watch every YouTube video. But if you don't go out and practice, do the assignments, and then take an image review, have a mentor, someone behind you to help you with those images, you're never going to get it. And that's what Creative Photo Academy does. You know, I get asked, and every time we do one of these, Mark, why should we pay you guys instead of doing free YouTube videos? And that's why. And I'm waiting for the crew to type in, you know, their experience at Creative Photo Academy, because we rock it. We have so much fun. It's just a great experience for you. So Photo Bootcamp, like I said, 3 focuses of Photo Bootcamp: the camera controls. What do the buttons do? What button am I pushing? The technical photo applications. What is a shutter speed? What is an ISO? What is an f-stop? How do you use it? And then the creativity of, when do you use 1,000th of a second and when do you use 1/4 of a second? When do you use spot metering? When do you use matrix metering? What is white balance? That's all in the creativity. And what color do you want? That's in the creative side of it. You know, Photo Bootcamp, 6 lessons, very exciting and powerful. I just can't stress enough how important Photo Bootcamp is for each and every photographer at some point in their career. Because in Photo Bootcamp, our goal is to make a difference, to build your photo toolkit, to inspire you, and to have fun. That's Photo Bootcamp, your basis, your bedrock, your foundation for great picture taking. Because we also look at the creative triangle and the technical triangle and how that relates to our photography and how that relates to how you build and work on a picture. Intermediate is 5 classes to hone your techniques. You know, you've got a good sense, you've got the boot camp foundation, or you've got life skills. So now what do you want to work on? Exposure, composition, landscape, flash, portrait, and events. And we have 5 amazing classes with 4 great instructors. So Mark Crace, who's here tonight, teaches the composition class, and the composition class is 4 weekly lessons where you're going to talk about the rule of thirds, leading lines, controlling the picture and your response, how you build and see the picture, how you frame the image so that you eliminate the extraneous and you make the most powerful picture possible. That's the intermediate composition class. Mark also teaches the intermediate exposure class, where he's going to go over, you know, what is the mid-tone gray? How does the grayscale relate to our pictures? How do you spot meter? When do you use matrix and when do you use spot? And where do you lock? What do you lock on? And what is the range in light? What is the range in exposure? What is the dynamic range of this image? And how do I control that so that I can get the light right? And you could never be afraid of the light again or afraid of the dark. Chris is teaching the landscape class. For those of you who like to travel and go to beautiful scenes, you know, we're going to talk about what is the subject and how you make it dominant and take control of the image to create depth. As you'll see, the theme in intermediate is control. You know, in boot camp, we're getting used to the controls in the camera. In intermediate, we're starting to put ourselves onto the scene, onto the subject, so that you control the range, you control the entire picture, you control the light. That's how you get great pictures. As Ansel Adams says, you don't take pictures, you make pictures. And you have to be willing to make the pictures, to build the pictures. You know, Bill does the flash class, and the flash class is a beautiful, powerful class. You know, one of the classes that I hear so many positive things about, all of them I do, but I really hear from the flash class, because flash is so misunderstood these days. You know, that you need a bigger flash and TTL exposure and the inverse square law and how important that is, and how we use flash as a creative light, both indoors and outdoors. And Bill has a great foundation down in this 4-week session to help you master the flash, to get the flash pictures that you want creatively, so that you can get the pictures that you want. And Heather is an awesome photographer, a professional portrait photographer, wedding photographer, and she does the portrait class, where you're going to learn connecting with the subject and focusing on the eyes. Focus, both real focus on the eyes, but also focus on the eyes. Focus on the person, filling the frame, controlling the background, controlling the light, controlling the subject, controlling the scene. Those are the hallmarks of a great portrait and great event photography. The advanced series, we have 6 classes in the advanced series. In the Inspirational Images series, there's 3 taught by Corey Savory. Dennis is teaching the Making Your Next Image, Jill and I the style class, and we'll talk about the project tonight. The Inspirational Images class, these are 3 12-week classes. So in January, Corey is leading you down the journey with Annie Leibovitz and her book At Work. Very powerful book, very powerful class where you learn the lessons that Annie learned during her amazing career. In June, she's going to lead us with Ansel Adams in Andrea Stillman's book, looking at Ansel Adams, The Man in the Pictures. An amazing book, a great story. Many of you have taken the Ansel Adams book. Dorothea Lange in the fall, Photographs of a Lifetime, powerful, powerful story, a powerful photographer. And why do we study these photographers? Why did Corey and I select these photographers? Is because they have a story that is relevant to all of us today. And there's something to be learned from that. So we talked about, so Dennis Key was here last Thursday. Dennis is retired chair of the photo department at Arts Center School of Design, a powerful class. That one's unfortunately sold out. So last night, Jill and I did the style class. We've got a couple openings left in the style class if you're interested. It's going to be a fun class, a completely different avenue, talking about your style, your voice by looking at the works of some amazing photographers and how that relates. But you guys are here tonight to learn about the project class. Any questions so far? I've been kind of keeping an eye on the chat there. So the project class is a challenge. So the project class is 12 months, once a month for 12 months, starting in January, usually the second or third Tuesday of the month. And creating a photo project, creating a photo story, a photo essay is a challenge that every photographer needs to learn to accomplish. Many photographers in our group have been in the project class with me for 10 or 12 years because it's an art form, it's a powerful tool. Many have been in the group, they've taken the project class 3 or 4 years, they go do some other things, they go do some other classes, but they always come back to the project class because it's such a powerful tool to envision and discover your project, to capture the pictures, to edit and share them. And I don't want you guys to be afraid that you don't know what your project is. Most of us, when we show up in January, have a vague idea. We have a couple of things we want to knock around. And that's what the class is about. It's about figuring out what you want to do. In January, February, and March, we discern the projects. We ask each other, I've got this idea. Does that sound like a project? Does this sound like something that you guys would be interested in? I've got a choice between this and this and this. Which one should I do? And I give you a workbook. You have a 12-page workbook that you're going to complete and help you decide whether this is a project you want to pursue or not. Right? And I have a whole list of rules, and not rules like what you can and can't do, but things to think about, right? So is this project meaningful? Is it doable, right? Sure, I got one set of good pictures there, but after that, I'm done. I mean, there's not much more to say, or maybe I can't get back to this place. Those are all the considerations you have to have. January, February, March time is really fun because the group gets together. We work on finding the focus and working with our pictures. Those who are a little bit farther along and settled in their projects is they go out and start working on their projects. So here's a question from Amanda. So the Canon classes, the free classes from the vendors, quite honestly, guys, are very, very basic. Very basic. They're not going to get in deep for you. It doesn't matter whether you're using, it doesn't matter, Amanda, if you take the Canon classes before you sign up for boot camp or not. They're free classes. I would certainly sign up. You're going to get some good information. But as far as teaching you how to work the camera and really get down into it, I hope for those of you who've taken those, please chime in. I hope you'll agree with me that you don't have the meat and potatoes in those classes that you do in the photo boot camp. So January, February, March, some people come with a firm idea about what they want to do. Some people have a couple of ideas about what they want to do. Some people have no freaking clue about what they want to do. And we work on it together. That's part of the class. And one of the things that you always have to remember, and Mark and Lori and Koo and Joyce, chime in here if you think I'm wrong. You always see the pictures from January and February, and I'm always surprised that this start in January leads us to the awesome projects that you're going to see here in a couple of minutes. And nobody shows up. None of the pictures you bring in January and February ever end up in the presentation, because you still got a lot of work to do. You still have to focus yourself on what you're trying to say in your message. And that's what the class is all about. And the other thing I want you to remember is, in advanced photography, in the project class especially, it's not about the presentation. It's not about completing the project. It's about making the journey. Because you could go out and do a project, do a photo essay in a day. You could go on a weekend trip to San Francisco, if we're ever allowed to do that again, and get 12 pictures and call that your project. But that's not what we want you to do. We want you to work through the processes. I built a process that works, that challenges you at every step of the way. April and May, we're honing the vision. So what do I mean by that? So you come to me in January and you say, I want to do a project of sunsets. I want to do a project of flowers. And that's all well and good, but those subjects are very broad. So you need to start honing your focus. You need to start shooting the pictures and seeing where that focus on sunsets or flowers or dogs or whatever is going to lead you. And one of the things, if you trust the process and use the process and work with the group, you will see amazing things happen with your pictures. And you're going to hone your vision in April and in May. You have to commit to a working title of your project and begin starting writing your artist statement. And you'll get to see the artist statements tonight as we roll through the projects, because this is part of the journey. This is the journey. This is, part of what we do. That leads us to June and July, where we are working like a fiend on our picture. And you're shooting every month, gang, don't get me wrong. But in January, we have a vague idea of where we're going. I want to do clouds in the sky as my project. But now we had to hone that in. And we're taking pictures, taking hundreds of pictures sometimes to help us get to where we want to be. And that's August. And in August, it's the deal in the cards. And in August, what we do is you will bring your 25 best photos, and I'll take a look at them and we'll help pick out the top 10 and see what you're missing in your project. What holes do you have in your photo story? What are you missing? What isn't here that you need to have to complete this project, to complete the story? And for all of the past students, they all feel that August is probably the most powerful month of all of the months. So yeah, so the August class is so awesome because we get to see, 25 or 30 photos from everybody. And which are the 10 to 12 that go together? Which ones play together? And don't worry, you're not alone in this. You're going to get help at every step of the way from me and from the group to ask questions and help you get and find your focus. Because September and October, we're editing the work. We're getting down. So we picked 10 in August. Now we need 2 or 3 more to round out. We're getting it finalized. We're editing. We're re-photoshopping. We're making the pictures perfect so that in November we can present them. And it's a process, gang. It's a journey. And I hope that you all will want to join that journey with us. And it's such a fun thing. So remember, if this doesn't sound like fun to you, think about some of the other classes. So let me work on, I gotta, All right, now you're back to me here. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions about that? Because now we're going to look at some projects. All right. So, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the projects. If you have questions, can you guys see the screen? Hold on. Can you, let's see, chat. Can you see the screen? Let's see. Yes. Awesome. Okay, I got the chat box open so I can read the chat. So this is from 2017, 4 years ago. You'll see some of the usual suspects. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you from the mentor's perspective, what the challenges I saw in each of the participants and how they got through and what they ended up with. So I'm not going to say whether I like the project or don't like it. That's immaterial. I love all the projects. I love all the students who spent the time and the effort. That's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, you know, and if any of you are here who it's your project and you want to add something, just go ahead and type that in and I'll see if I can remember to read it. So, all right. So first, Evelyn here. Evelyn did her project, Sand Creatures. So this is her project statement. And so I ask you to do a title and a project statement so that you are directed, so that it helps you focus on what your pictures are. Very cool, Evelyn. This was your first project, wasn't it? Sand Creatures, right? So Evelyn lives by the beach. And she was very enthralled with life around her at the beach and how it worked together with her. I believe this was her first project, so she really had to get into how the program worked and all of the workings, the machinations of it. But it was a great time for Evelyn to get together and pull the pictures and share, you know, life at the beach. And it was all tied together by sand. Sand was her theme and how everyone interacted with the sand. And you'll see a little bit different take on Evelyn's pictures from 2020 on how that worked. And these are great, powerful images with that unifying symbol, that unifying aspect of the sand. Very cool. Yep. All right. So Ray, are you, thank you, Evelyn. You'll get to see from Evelyn again. Ray, are you here? So Ray did classic cars in Southern California. We have a pretty big car culture here in Southern California, and she went out and captured that. And I'll tell you, Ray had a big struggle at the beginning because she couldn't find her focus on what aspect of the car culture she wanted to capture. Was it the car shows? Was it the cars themselves? What was it? And she really brought it together And that's what happens. You put the effort in, you bring it together, and found this beautiful balance between the cars and their drivers. And she settled on the cars and the drivers and how that worked and the interplay between these unique individuals and their unique automobiles. And if you can see, it's two pictures of the car and then the picture of the driver or the picture of the owner, right? And it was just a great project to work through with Ray to get all of these to be, number one, quality images, number two, unique images that told this story of the car culture in Southern California. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. So these are the kinds of pictures that you're going to see in the projects, right? Most of the projects are 10 to 12 images. At this point, I was allowing people to go 15 images, so you'll see some of the projects for a little bit longer. Steve Montgomery did details in the garden, and Steve loves his macro photography, and he just loves to get in close, and like so many things, so you get a new toy, you get a new lens, and you want to work with it. Steve had a challenge to take these images, these interesting macro images from the garden, and turn it into a cohesive story. And we all do that. And that's part of the struggle. And that's part of the power of the advanced class, is working together on these projects to make the images tell a story, to work together. And Steve did a great job, once again, taking this collection, this massive collection of great pictures from macro images, and turning it into a group of work, a group of photos that really worked together. And that's the power of the project class. So Lori's here. So Lori is one of my longest attending students. She's been with us over 20 years. Lori has a unique bent on photography. So she loves abstracts. And so here's her nature remixed. So she did a lot of, not Photoshop work as in adding things together, but just different processing techniques with her images, with her natural stuff that she finds around to capture a creative story. You'll see Lori's pictures in 3 of the 4 presentations. And these are beautiful abstracts. And these are photographs. They're not digital art, they're photographs that have been highly processed, a lot of saturation, stuff like that. And Lori, am I getting that right? Are you there, Ducky? Yes, thank you. Good. Yeah, so everybody gets to photograph what they want. You're going to photograph your jam, your passion. And the group is going to help you bring out the best in what you do. And that's the power of the project class. Yeah. Very cool images, very powerful images. Gary Parsons did an amazing story of his wife and her horse. And he once again, his struggle was, okay, I've got 10 snapshots of my wife and her horse. How do we turn that into a creative project? How do we turn that into something that's more than 10 snapshots for the photo album? And you'll see he started to concentrate not on the picture, but on the relationship between his wife and her horse. And how that relationship and how that passion for each other came to be the strength in the pictures. And that was the message. It doesn't matter that it's a horse and a woman, it's that bond between them that clearly comes out in the pictures. And when he first started, I'm speaking for Gary here, but I don't know if he wanted to go this deep. I don't know if he wanted to be this much out there with the pictures, but that's what it needed to be successful. And his wife loves the images. She says she has them all up around in her room in the house because it's great. Just such a powerful, powerful statement Right, look at that one. So Peggy, that's for you, right? Yep, that relationship, the bond, that's what the story was. So Chuck did his morning moods. Chuck, are you here? Chuck is a serial offender in the project class. Chuck every morning goes to Starbucks, and he's developed friendships at his local Starbucks, and he photographed. Got special permission from the corporate office to photograph there. And his challenge was, okay, 12 pictures of people drinking coffee. How interesting is that? So he had to really mix it up. He had to try some different things, try some different techniques. We'll talk in the class about small, medium, and large perspective and how that worked and how you told the story and what worked and what didn't and how you bring it together. And Chuck did an amazing job, and if you think about it, you could do this realistically. You go to Starbucks, shoot 25 photos, call it a project, but it's not going to have this power. You're not going to find all these characters and all these moments if you do it that way. It's all about telling a story and finding what is the struggle, what is the arc that you need to capture, and doing it. So I'm going to help you. We're going to help you pick something that's doable for you, that you can handle, and something you can capture. And these are images that everybody, you really are proud of. Koo, you're here. So Koo did her rhythms. Yeah, so Koo is a fan of architecture. She loves architecture and really worked hard on some business travel to photograph during her business travel time and to bring these together. You'll see a number of different approaches to architecture in the different projects. It's just a powerful medium to find the shapes and lines that go together and how those relate, and Koo did a masterful job here, of capturing the shapes and lines, the geometry of what she wanted to share. And that's just the secret to the project, is what do you want to share, and then let the group help you go get it, go find it. Go make it work. John Dickinson, he started out classic. I love the ocean, and my wife and I walk at the beach every single day, and I'm a docent at the local ocean park. I want to photograph the ocean. John, are you here? So his struggle again was to move beyond snapshots. Not 12 snapshots of beautiful ocean scenes, but to make it into something that was more than that tells the story, that captures an emotion, that has power to it and meaning. That's what John did. And you'll see as we go through all of these that everyone has a different approach, and that's okay. But using the power of the group, using the power of the process, will take you. Now, you got to go out and take great pictures. There's no doubt about it. You can't take crappy pictures and put them into a project and say it looks good, because you can't. They have to be quality pictures. But then we work together to help you build it. So here's Mark Grace. So Mark is one of our intermediate instructors. He's been with the project class for many years. Black and white, stark communication, and like many of us, Mark always struggles with a broader focus and to bring it in narrow. Am I saying true, Mark? Mr. Mark, are you out there? And that's the process of honing it in together, is to bring your focus in. So using one of our adventures up to the Eastern Sierra, or a number of different trips to the Eastern Sierra, to tell the story of the landscape with the powerful images. That's what he was trying to do. And he did an amazing job. And I want all of you to remember that these are all personal journeys from each and every one of us. And they're your pictures. We never want to change your pictures, because your pictures are important to you. and how we share those and how we bring them together. And the power of what we do is the strength of the project class. John Schmidt was on the trail. Once again, a struggle to find his voice. John takes a morning walk up on these beautiful trails up around in the area here by Paul's photo. And how do you tell a story on that? And he had a bunch of great snapshots to start with, but now honing it down to make it so that it's the story of what it feels like to be empowered by being out in nature, in the city, and what you see and what's there and how it's going to impact you. That's what he tried to do. And it's a great project, right? Because it's something that's of passion to him, that's nearby, that you see every single day. And how do we bring that to the forefront and make it something that's doable, that's presentable? And you work on it and it just happens. Calvin's an amazing photographer, and he had access to a plant where they take apart airplanes. And his problem was he had too many great pictures. He had a lot of amazing pictures, and he had to focus on finding the geometry and making the geometry fit together. So, yep, here's the plant. This is what it looks like. And bam, they start taking airplanes apart. And this is what it looks like. So setting it up, and now we're into the geometry. The simple, very tactile feeling that Calvin does so well in his photography, that tells a little bit of the story, that gives you something to look at that's exciting and different. These are just very beautiful, classic, amazing images, right? So you don't need access to something like this. You've seen some very pedestrian things. This is a little bit more complicated, to get access to and permission, but a very powerful project. I love it. And it's inspiring. That's what you're here for. I hope you're here tonight to be inspired and to learn what it is that you can do with your pictures. This one always reminded me of the last scene from Indiana Jones, right? Where they're wheeling the ark into the big warehouse, right? Yes. Right, all the different parts lined up. So as your instructor, as your mentor, as your leader, I always do a project as well, because in the advanced classes, I find that I shouldn't be giving you an assignment that I'm not willing to do myself. And I was challenged by the students the year before to do something very simple. And you'll see my project this year was very simple as well. So I did seashells. And so, my wife has this fairly large collection of seashells. So I photographed them just on my dining room table with a mirror, a black background, and one light. And I photographed seashells for the year. And tried to make some Edward Weston style art. And once again, my challenge was to make them so they weren't boring. If you notice, I did 2 pictures of each shell. So a bigger, you see the whole thing, and then some sort of a detail where I got in tight on a part of it. And this was a challenge for me because I'm more of a big picture guy. But I had to change and refocus, and this was fun. I was sitting at my dining room table. For a lot of you who've seen my Be Creative series, I could do shells all day long on my Be Creative series. Today is day 279 of Be Creative. You can find that at pulsephoto.com/Be Creative. And just working the seashells. Doing different things with them, right? So what did I need? My wife has hundreds of seashells, and some of them are this big and some of them are this big, and I photographed them all, right? To do different things with them. But the secret was to make all of them different yet interesting and powerful. This is probably my favorite image out of the group. Once again, very Edward Weston-esque. And this picture prints beautifully. Oh my gosh. Uta, this was her first project with us. And she photographed her 18-year-old son. You'll see this done again a little bit later by a different student on his last year in high school. So her son was getting ready to leave the nest. So his last year in high school, his last Christmas, all of those things before going off to college. And she's an amazing mom that loves to photograph with her children. And once again, the challenge for her was having to detach and to be a photojournalist in her own home. She couldn't be mom. She couldn't be too she wanted to take she took a lot of pictures, and she had to edit down to the 12 that told this story of her son leaving the nest. And not snapshots, things that are different, that tell this poignant, here's the brother and the sister fighting, right? Which every family that happens got to be in the show, right? But all of the things that happened during that year, and what he did. So with the dad studying, with mom in the car, off to the dorm, and all the things that happen. And there he is, free at last, free at last. I'm on my own. Brad did a project Brad is a gerontologist. He has a gerontology specialty called It's a Number, and how age doesn't mean anything. It's just a number. And one of the great things is this project has been picked up many times, by Brad's societies and published over and over again in different magazines, telling the story of aging through Brad's eyes and how it is just a number. And just because you're old, it doesn't mean that you can't do anything anymore. You can do anything you set your mind to. Yeah. And once again, his challenge was to make it so it wasn't just a bunch of snapshots of old guys and old women sitting around. Getting them being more intimate, upping the quality of the photograph in each of these to make it tell the story. Webb did Tranquility in a Japanese Garden. And once again, Webb's challenge was not just 12 pretty pictures in a Japanese garden, but let's tell a story. Let's bring a palette, let's bring a sense, let's bring that peace and tranquility of the garden into the pictures. Let's make the pictures have a little bit of Zen in them. And we work together to make these things happen. We work together to bring this power to the images. And I just love it. I think it's such a powerful thing we do together. And they're all beautiful pictures. I mean, don't take me wrong. These are all beautiful pictures, every single one. But it's about the story and how they relate together. And that's what we work on together in the class with the group, is building that concise, tight story. Robin photographed her friends in the morning. So 50-year-old women in the morning, and all kinds of women early in the morning, in the first thing in the morning, no makeup as they are. And she did this because she wanted something with access that would have meaning to their families. And here's Robin's project, and it was amazing, right? And just the power of what she did was just so intimate and powerful and poignant. That's what I love about it. These are very simple images, but together they're a very concise, dynamic, exciting body of work. And that's what we want, is we want to build a body of work that has a purpose and meaning that can be shared and hopefully will live beyond us. And I know that's lofty, but it's something that we can all do. And, we have the tools. So let's deploy the tools. Let's make it work for us. Gail did reflections and the power of water. And once again, her challenge was to find the focus so that the images all work together. And you'll see a number of photographers love this theme of water and how it relates, and using color and shape and line here to tell a story. And this is just, it was a very powerful project. I really love the way it all came together and the diversity in the pictures. That's another thing. So the pictures all, like Webb's, have to be either very close or, like Gail's here, have some diversity to them so that you don't get bored. You have a sense of movement with them. And that's something that we talk about in the group. John's here. John is an amazing photographer, and his project in 2017 was circles. And it's kind of self-evident. His biggest challenge was to find all these circles and to bring them together so that it tells a coherent story. So those are mixing bowls. Straws. Yep, a 6-shooter, baby. That's the subway in downtown LA. And Paul's an amazing photographer as well. Nature Entwined, he really worked hard at this to really find a sense of this, so how nature worked together in these double exposures. So these are all done in camera with film and making 2 exposures on the same piece of film and how that worked. And it was a lot of experimentation and a great challenge for Paul. He's a very artistic photographer. He's working on a very, very dynamic and exciting kind of crazy project right now. I love his work. I like all the photographers' work. I mean, it's just such a great group of people. And what they bring to the table every year is so powerful and so unique. Desiree's the end of the line. We all are stuck in photography with power lines, and they get in the way. And so she was out doing cityscapes, landscapes, and finally just said, if you can't beat them, join them. And so she photographed power lines because they're always a nuisance and in the way of our picture until you go out with a focus on them. And I think that graphically and dynamically, these are a very powerful set of images that tell a really strong story. And what is it? It's power lines. But if you take the project approach to it, it can be an exciting and diverse and unique set of pictures. So you can see that there's no limit to what you can do. Joyce Cardwell, who's here tonight, amazing photographer. She loves nature and loves to photograph nature here in the city. So we have a marsh. You'll see a couple other pictures from Madrona Marsh, our local marsh area. Joyce did this one. And once again, the challenge is, Joyce always ends up with 25 or 30 great images every year. How do you pick it how do you get down to the 12? How do you find the 12 that just scream? Some of these were award winners at the Orange County Fair, which is awesome. But the group works together to help each other to choose the images, to tell the story. What do you want the picture to be? What do you want the story to be? It's so great because I don't often go back and look at these older projects, but it just takes me back to years gone by. Denise Castro, another amazing photographer. Her work has been in many magazines. Her urban sketches, is just a powerful tool of her walks in downtown, in the geometry. So you can see a different approach than Koo's to the architecture, but still powerful images that have a unique feel to it. You know, Denise at this point was experimenting with digital. She was moving from film to digital, and really didn't believe that digital would perform as well. But she proved herself right that, you know, her new camera would do amazing things and produce beautiful work. And that's the power of the project classes. You work on something, you take 12 months and you power through it. So that's 2017. Does anybody have any questions? I'll move a little quicker through 2018, guys. You know, because I can say the same things again. So 2018, so Bev she tried a bunch of different projects. She couldn't get it to work right. So late in the year, she took a trip to Iceland, and she did her project on her trip to Iceland. So this is not allowed anymore. I mean, you can't take a vacation and make that into a project, because I want it to be something that you can work on from time to time every month. Now, I know a couple of you have talked to me about other projects where you're not going to be photographing every month. That's fine. I understand that. That's a special arrangement that we've made. But I want you to all think about, as your project, something you can go to and work on week after week, month after month, without having to fly halfway around the world to do it. Ray did repetitive patterns. Once again, an architecture project where she went real deep into the architecture. It's all just now about shapes. It's not even about the building. It's not about where it is or what it is, but it's all just about the shape and the geometry and how that works together. Chuck was after surfing. And so his son is a surfer, so he went down every morning and followed his son and his cohort surfing and made a story. You know, you get to the beach, you get set up, you head out, and off you go into the waves. So his challenge was to find that narrative, to find 12 images that told the story, that went from place to place, from the starting of to the end of your surf adventure, right? Eileen was a new student with the advanced class, Tilling the Spirit. This was a great challenge for her. Working on titles and techniques and how to make the story come to being. And she did an amazing job in working with focus and out of focus as her subject, and using the techniques in the lens and the camera to tell a story in her garden by using that focus and out of focus. And how by working on it and bringing the images together, you can make something beautiful and powerful this way. It doesn't take a lot of travel or this or that to make a great project. It takes creativity, idea, working through it. So I mentioned Eileen's project earlier. We have two Eileens in the group. Eileen's Post-Apocalypse Now. And so I invite you to find Montague. Yes. So, you know, Eileen had a very specific vision that she wanted to capture, and she went out and did it and tried some different things. You know, had to build a unique aspect, a unique style, a unique color palette, you know, in the places that she went. And she traveled all over with her skull in a bag to photograph, you know, and make these Mad Max style photos that are just so powerful, you know, and different. So everybody's pictures are different. Everybody's projects are different. And I love that. I love that they all go together, but they're all so separate. Yeah, very cool. I love it. Yes. But I love all the projects, Koo. They're all so powerful. Yep. Joy that can turn to tears. Yep. So Webb went out to Joshua Tree. He was going to Joshua Tree a lot and wanted to capture the color of the desert. And so this year we have 2 projects from Joshua Tree. And so Webb is actually Joshua Tree, Anza-Borrego, and Death Valley. But once again, trying to tell that story by bringing the shapes and lines together of these amazing places. So you see, everybody has their own focus, their own idea. And some of the images are stronger than others, but they're all important to the narrative, to the story. So Lori's benign disinterest, this one stirred up a lot of debate in the group, because you'll never guess what the subjects, well, no, Lori, I can't remember which one, so this is your shapes and patterns. Sorry, got the wrong project in mind. But this was the inspiration for my project for this year. And you can see we work on these things. I mean, you put a lot of work into it. You know, it doesn't look like it, and like anything in life, if you do it well, it doesn't look difficult. But when you're doing it, it's a lot of work to find the 12 images. You know, and it looks like Lori went around, yeah, stuff people walk by, right? She walked around the shopping center and made, 15 snaps with her camera. But it's not that. I mean, this is months and months worth of work to find the perfect light, the perfect setting to tell the story. Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And when you do it well, when you work your skills, it looks easy, but we all know it's not. It's more than that. There's so much more than that to it. Gail did a story on, 10 months, exactly, Lori, and how many trips to wherever to make it right. And her shadows. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, 100 trips to get it right. And Gail did a project on shadows and how amazing shadows are, and quite often we walk by shadows, but all shadows telling the story. I mean, it's just something different we see. And how everyone sees the world differently and how everyone reacts to the world differently. That's the power of the group, and that's the power of what we're doing in the project class. Paul's Urban Mosaics, I hope you guys enjoy these. He built a new computer program to make these pictures, to take pictures and to deconstruct them. And it doesn't do it justice here, and none of this does justice, because usually when we present these in normal times, we present them as big prints. This year we presented them digitally like this in a Zoom meeting. This year in 2021, we'll be doing them as a Zoom meeting as well, because that allows all of you from all over the world to participate. And these are very powerful images. And Paul's still working on this project today. It's taken a completely different turn and a completely different direction, but I love where he's going with it. So in 2018, it took me 2.5 years to get permission to do a project with the local police department. So this was with the Redondo Beach Police Department. And Lincoln 12 is the unit that I rode in 12 times during the year and photographed the men and women of the Redondo Beach Police Department. And for me, the challenge was to get the permission, to spend the time with the officers, to get out into the field and mix it up. I got to roll code 3 times, lights and sirens 100 miles an hour through the streets of Redondo, and capturing the officers in the good and bad of what goes on. And it was a fun project to do. Very challenging. I had hundreds and hundreds of images that I had to pick through to find the 12 that told the story. And that's what we do together, is we work together to find the 12 that tell the story. Koo did a sense of place. So if you guys have any questions, ask away. I'll be glad to answer as best I can. So Koo did a sense of place on her travels again. Once again, how people relate to the architecture, people relate to the environment. And I love this contrast of the people and the landscape and how it goes together. And how it's a beautiful architecture shot, and then the people are just there, and how powerful that is. Joyce in 2018 did a trip to Japan in the winter, actually a couple of trips to Japan, and once again had amazing success, and made beautiful pictures. So once again, just to let you know that we don't allow this in the project class any longer to do a vacation and make it into a project. It's just because you don't get to work on it all year. You want to find something that's going to be a challenge for you to work on for the whole year. And I know, Judy, don't get worried. You're fine. Judy's working on a special project that's going to be part of the project class and going to be very impressive. But Joyce did an amazing job here with all the animals and nature she found in Japan in the winter. John Schmidt is also a sailor, and he wanted to photograph on sailboats. And now, how do you find 12 images that tell the story of sailing, right? So it's, not just a bunch of details of knots and just boats out in the harbor, right? But it's combining them to make an interesting story that tells, that gives it some power. And John really struggled whether he wanted color or black and white for his project. And I think he did a great job. I mean, all of these are just wonderful in how they go together and how the projects work together, and the images tell the story. Lori did bold colors, bold shapes, once again from the desert. And Lori is an amazing photographer and loves abstracts. So she took this approach to Joshua Tree with just a different vision and a different idea than the regular pictures of Joshua Tree. And national parks are always so great to photograph, but here taking a different approach to it, I think, is very rewarding. I agree, Koo. It's very rewarding to complete a project and have it tell your story. It's so powerful. So Denise fell in love. I mean, she's a bookworm. She was out trolling old bookstores and made this amazing project about books called Carpe Librum. And once again, the challenge was finding 12 pictures that played well together, that told the story of collecting old books and the power of books. And this was, I don't know which iPad was introduced, but they were, calling it the iPad that would make people turn in their books. Well, Denise made this project. And this has again been picked up by a couple of magazines and run in a number of places. It's very powerful because it's great photography that tells a story. And that's the power of what we do in the project class, is recognizing and creating and telling the story. And what is it? It's a used bookstore, not one, dozens of used bookstores with hundreds of photos that you boil down and make it look like one visit to the bookstore. Just like Lori's of the benign disinterest look like one trip to the grocery store. That's what it's supposed to look like, but it's not what it takes to create that. Desiree photographed on the metro, going to work and coming home from work on the metro. What a powerful project. And the biggest challenge for her on this was to give herself permission to do it, to take her camera and photograph on the subway, on the train, to get the images, to not, number one, not get mugged, and number two, not to be afraid to get mugged, and then to make these powerful images. And they're beautifully powerful, poignant images that are just timeless. Calvin did Waterline. So Calvin was driving for work back and forth between LA and Sacramento and photographing the California aqueduct. And you don't think about it, it's something that, we drive by, but it can be beautiful, it can be powerful and simple. But when you turn it into a photo project, it's something more than that. Having the vision and having the idea and just going out and capturing it. John Peterson has been photographing in California for his whole life, and he wanted to photograph the California missions, so he decided to make a 20-second mission by combining all the different aspects of the different California missions. So his project is called Mission 22. So details, beautiful details, feelings of the California missions. And that's 2018. Any questions from anyone? So Steve Tabor photographed the rebuilding of the runway at the Catalina Airport. And so Steve is a ranger on Catalina Island. And so it was a big project to rebuild the airport over there. So documented the Army Corps of Engineers showing up, doing the work, doing the prep work. Actually, it wasn't the Army, it was the Marines. In they come, setting up camp, and the process of rebuilding the runway. And there you go. It's all done. So Bev Gates, In Love with the Water. You see, this year and last year, Bev did beautiful images of the water, completely different from what Gail did a couple of years ago. But a different aspect, a different feeling from the water. And Bev's unique approach to how we relate and see water. Bill Heath he is a fan of the steampunk group and wanted to do portraits where the steampunk people gather at their conventions, and made these beautiful portraits. You know, his challenge was to decide what are the pictures going to look like. And here he is in these concert, not concert, but convention venues at the Staples Center or this meeting room or that, where he can, without bringing in a lot of equipment, take these beautiful portraits of these people dressed up in these unique and powerful costumes. And I just think it's very cool stuff. And so you can see the project can be just about anything you want. It's up to you to choose, to chase it down, to envision it. If you need help with that, that's my job, to help you with that. Chuck did benches. And he fell in love with benches and noticed benches, and something, again, we don't often notice. I mean, unless you're going to sit down. But we photograph these benches and how they tell a story. They give us support. They let us rest. And they give us a moment. And if you think about it, you know, benches, what do you mean by benches? But look what he's done with it. You know, that the benches are telling the story. And it's not the benches itself, it's the people on the benches and where the benches are and what they look like and the different choices. What it's like, where are we? So that's making a project, taking a group of images, taking a group of photos and turning that, transforming it into a project. Linda made her first project. Linda, are you here? And oh my gosh, what a challenge for Linda. You know, sunny side up at the Tot, a day at the Hot and Tot restaurant, you know, not a day, a year, 15, 20 visits to the restaurant. And once again, Linda had to get by making snapshots at the restaurant to hone in on the pictures that tell the story of what it's like. And if any of you know the Hot and Tot, right, it's here in Lomita, and it's a classic diner, you know, family, short order cook, the whole thing, you know, bacon and eggs on Sunday morning, you know, and such a powerful project for Linda to gain access to the restaurant, to make friends with the crew, to get in there and work the scene. And then the challenge of photographing under terrible light with horrible backlight and cramped conditions and make these beautiful images that I know the people at the restaurant just love it. They love the power of what she did because they're timeless images. Yeah. And it takes some effort, it takes some emotion. You have to expend some emotional energy here to make this happen. Yeah. Thank you, Linda. Jeff Wright did Unsteady Nature, a trip again to Madrona Marsh with the animals in flight and movement, and how that movement can be captured. No, Jeff just didn't have a bunch of blurry pictures. He actually set out to make these this way and shot hundreds and hundreds of images using slow shutter speed, zoom techniques, out of focus techniques to get the images that told the story of Madrona Marsh through this unsteady eye. and how it worked. So there's 1,000 different ways to make the pictures of what you want and where you want to go. And you guys you can look at this recording again and again to help you find the inspiration in the different projects. You know, we've been doing the projects for 15 years. Ray DeVito, Ray, are you here? So she did a trip to Venice Boardwalk. And again, moving beyond the snapshots, right? Into pictures that tell a story. Yes, soul searching, exactly, Lori. Exactly. That capture moments. And you notice any of these pictures from all of the different projects are good on their own, but viewed together in the project are 100 times more powerful. So that's why if you ever went to get a job or interviewed for a magazine, they don't want to see your 10 best photos. They want to see 10 photos of a project, how you see, what you're trying to tell. So the photos of how it works together, that's what they want to see. And that's what we concentrate on in the project class. Linda did a project of a wildlife restoration area where they bring the sea lions in, and the story of when the animals come in sick and how they're nursed back to health and then released back into the wild. And this was a passion project for her because she's passionate about this subject. She's passionate about this place. And she used these pictures and to tell the story. And I know that the wildlife rescue is using these images. And it's great to be able to do that. You know, we're able to give back to the community by making these pictures and make the story work, to tell the story. You know, and that's what it's all about. You know, so here we come down to the final moment when, boom, the sixth seal is now released back to the ocean. Joyce Cardwell, once again, out in wildlife in the city, beautiful images. You know, her challenge was, again, oh my gosh, 50 beautiful images. How do you pick the 12th? What story do you want to tell by choosing the 12 images? These are down at Machado Lake, Harbor Park. Fantastic images, powerful images, but picking the 12th out of a year's worth of work. You know, Joyce goes out and photographs every day. Now, many of us don't have time to do that. You know, we get 2 or 3 times a month to go out and photograph. But that's what it takes to get these beautiful images, these landmark images. Because all of the projects have these beautiful, powerful landmark images in them. So my project for 2019 is an ongoing project. It's on hold now because of COVID, but I have a project to photograph strong women. And if any of you want to volunteer to be part of my project, you're welcome. It's a passion project for me. I want to do a book and a gallery show, but this has been 3 years in the making. How these women and how we as a society stereotype women, and I want to break that. I want to change the idea of beauty and power, and that everyone has that ability, no matter who you are, what size you are, where you are, and what's your story, and how it works for you. And this has been an ongoing thing. You know, it's killed me that it's been on hold since January, because I just don't want to get this close, you know, to anyone to photograph. But it's something that I'm going to return to as soon as it's safe. You know, and these are just amazing women. I photographed about 30 women for this project, and it's just something that I just really need to get to. And I love sharing it with people and letting the vision come forward and to tell this part of the story. So Mark Crace did his City in Motion in 2019, which was again a struggle for Mark, because He started one way and it didn't work out. So then you have to retrench. And that happens a lot, that you start out going one way with your project and you can't get the pictures you want. You can't get the access you want. The locations are closed. The locations are no longer there. It goes out of business. So he did an amazing series of shapes and shadows and lines in the city. There was a change in focus for him. And that's okay. That's why this is a journey, gang. The project class is a journey. As we go from place to place, station to station, picture to picture. It's how we capture. And don't be intimidated by these pictures. Because, gang, every single project didn't look like this in January. Do you guys agree? All right, project people, chime in. I mean, it doesn't look like this in January, does it? You know, these are beautiful. Megan did some beautiful landscape, very surreal, simple landscapes. And she really struggled with this as to what she wanted to present. And they're just amazing. So meeting of land and sea and sky. And just the colors that she found in nature, you know, on 100 different days. Everyone has their own journey. Tammy did the fledgling, her son leaving the nest off to college, right? That last year of school. And she took a different approach than Ute did a couple of years ago, right? And it's always great to see these stories. And here she has something that she's going to be able to look back on and share with her son when he has children. And how powerful will that be? And not all of our stories are like that. Not all of our projects are like that. But once again, she had 50 great images. Tammy's an amazing photographer. She always has way too many pictures. That's what she has to deal with. Yes. Yep. Off he goes. Robin struggled with this project. Couldn't find a focus until she made a mistake. And a mistake led her to double exposing in the camera. And she then set off in this journey. This was February or March, I remember, that she just said, oh my God, Mark, she comes running in. I got to show you these pictures. And she had 12 from one afternoon. And they were beautiful. And these are all in-camera double exposures in a digital camera. No Photoshop, I mean, normal amount of Photoshop, but it was finding her jam, finding her focus, finding what she wanted the pictures to be. And that's the challenge that we all have. All of our projects have that. You know, some of you have an idea what you want to do. Some of you have no idea. That's okay. Here's where you have to trust the process. You have to trust us that we will get you through this. If you put in the effort, you will have something to say, and you will say something amazing. Tom did an amazing architecture project, and Tom had to find, he was all over the place as far as the different subjects and honing in on what subject he wanted in the picture. And they're beautiful, powerful pictures, again, of architecture. And it all came down to breaking up shapes and lines and how the lines, you know, the rectangles, the triangles, and the circles all played together. That was the secret. That was the secret sauce that Tom found in putting this together and choosing the 12 photos so that they all played well together. You can see how that works, how they're worked together. Jerry did an amazing set of pictures down by the ocean. Once again, water, surf, so we've seen water, surf, ocean. We live by the beach. That's a part of our life here, but a different take on it. And I'll never restrict you to say, oh, you can't do that because Bob's already doing that. No, because your images are going to be so different. They're going to have a different feel and a different look to them. That's what we want. We want to see you be you. We want to see your pictures in how you see what you see and the stories that you tell. Carol spent a year photographing at the Disney Concert Hall in downtown LA. And once again, the secret for her, she was so focused on this. She went out and did a great job, and once again had 50 great images. So now we have to edit to the 12 that tell her story, that capture the emotion of what she wanted to capture. And these images have been picked up in a number of different places, award-winning images. That's so powerful. And this is one of the things I love about the group at Creative Photo Academy is, these are just regular folks like you guys, and we're making these amazing pictures that are amazing, just fantastic. And it's coming from you. All of you who are out there can do this. So that was 2019. And finally, I'll run through this year's presentations, 2020. Any questions or comments, guys? Please type into the chat. How many of us are still here? Thank you, Judy. I hope you're inspired, because this is you this year. So Ray DeVito, Seaside Stroll, a walk on the beach, her morning walk. So once again, it looks like a day, one walk on the beach. 30 minutes, right? But this is months of work and trial and tribulation and tears and frustration and not getting it right and then getting it right. This is the power of the project. And Brian's project is so powerful. He photographed a group of artists. His wife was part of this group of artists that still gets together. And, oops, sorry guys, hold on. Hold on a second, I gotta change my battery. I'll be right back. There we go. Awesome. All right. So Brian is his wife was a group of artists. She has since passed away, but still Brian is part of the artists, and these women artists do art. And he photographed them doing the art. And it was such a great project. And once again, started out as, it didn't look like this, right? They never do. And so you learn from your mistakes. You learn what pictures work, what pictures don't. Where do you need to go to tell the story? What do you need to complete the narrative? And that's the power of the project class, is working together as a team, together in helping each other to build these pictures. And if you want, in the tomorrow when I send you the video to this link to the video also will be the link to the video of the real presentation with the panel, Dennis, who is one of our advanced instructors, and Jill, one of our advanced instructors, discussing the images, discussing the project. If you want to see that, you're welcome to look at that too. Teresa, who's here, the birthday girl, went to Madrona Marsh again. And she did Madrona Marsh and infrared. And her challenge was to, again, move beyond the landscape. Okay, 12 pretty landscapes does not get it done. So you have to move beyond that to telling a story, to finding what is the narrative. You know, where are the poignant pictures, the salient pictures that can bring the group, that attract your eye, that fill you in, and making that work. That's the secret to building a project. That's a secret to doing what we're doing together in the project class. Because we all work in this together. You know, we all support each other. We're all helping each other to find ideas and find the way the project works. You know, because you're not in this alone. And that's one of the things I love about it. Yeah. Bev painting with water. Once again, her water. You know, and looking at shapes in water and the way that the light works. You know, and she experimented with a lot of different stuff this year, trying different things, different ways that water water reflects. And do we want the bubbles? Do we not want the bubbles? What shapes do we want? What color palette do we want? And you have to remember, gang, that these all were shot during the pandemic. Many of the people had to, in February or March, after they'd already started on one project, stop, pivot, and start another project because of the pandemic. And I've never been so proud of a group in my life that they produced amazing work under these circumstances. John Schmidt, Translucence. You know, John started another project, everything gets shut down, he couldn't do his project, so we concentrated on light through subjects in his living room. And told a great story. And you can see people borrow from each other. You know, he borrowed my shell techniques for some of this, and that's okay, because I showed him my shell pictures. You know, we're all here to share. You know, we're here to learn together. That's the secret of all this, you know, is that we're in it together. Chuck, stuck at home. How many of us were stuck at home, but how many of us photographed? So we photographed what made his house a home. And there he is with his wife and just taking us through, you know, giving us a little behind the scenes of what is life with Chuck. And in 50 years, will this be important? Yes, because this year was unique, it was different, it was challenging. And I'm so glad these students took these approaches to record this, to tell these stories. Linda's here, right? She did the Hot and Tot last year. This year, she did Game On. Once again, stuck at home. What are you going to do, right? So she started out with a different idea, completely had to pivot. And, you know, you talk about starting at the beginning of the year with nothing and then bringing that into something that's really powerful, you know. And I really respect these photographers for, you know, having some, you know, Linda, you can see, is having some fun with this. And that's part of the exciting thing here, you know, is, right? How would you photograph board games and make it exciting, right? But she did a great job at it, using, you know, different techniques and imagination, right? And it was just fun, and the panel really loved these images. You know, Matt McMillan had a great project in mind. Things shut down. He can't travel anymore. So he loves to travel, and he brings back totems, little trinkets from his travels. So he photographed all of them and made product photography exciting of these little gems that he brings back from his trips. And you see how they're all so unique and different, right? Spent a lot of time to get these right, to make them interesting and powerful. Yeah. I just love it. Exactly. It shows you know your camera. And Matt's project, oh my gosh. So Matt's project, he had a landscape project in mind. We got shut down on landscapes. So what did he do? He built his own landscape in his garage out of screws. It is amazing, isn't it, Linda? Yeah, I love it. You know, and practicing, and I worked with with Dan a lot on this to help him, try different things, and we experimented with some different ideas to help him get the pictures that he wanted, right? Because it's important. Yeah. And I accepted a challenge this year. One of the group challenged me to mark photograph details. I'm usually about people, bigger stories. So I went for details. And I had a challenge to my project. And my project was all about details and shapes and building them together and how to make it work. And it was a very strong project for me. It was a very powerful project. It was a challenge. But to make it work, in the pandemic was something different. But that's what I chose to do. And I soldiered on and worked through it, even though it was hard to do. And that was part of what we do together in the project class. We work together. Mark Crace had to pivot 180 degrees and photograph on his walks around the neighborhood, all of his neighbors' porches. Why are you photographing people's porches? But it tells a story. It asks the question, who lives in this house? Who lives in this house? Who lives in this house? And why? Why do you decorate your house to look like this? Right? And asking questions with your camera, asking questions with your photography is powerful and helps us grow as photographers. It helps us change the world and challenge the world around us. I just love the projects. I love the way everyone takes a different approach to it, and everyone has a different idea about what they're doing and what's right. Tom Chang, A Quiet Moment. Once again, beautiful black and white photography from Tom. And he did the coastline in the South Bay using long exposures. That was his jam. That was how we did it. And having a different technique, a different idea, right? Something different. That's the power of the project. And I hope that you guys are inspired, that you can see something in your world. You can see something around you. Whether it's small or large, it doesn't matter. What is important is that you dedicate to it, you commit to it, you sign up for the class, and we start together. We start building together. It's so exciting. Joy Donis. Oh, Joy, are you out? Oh, Joy had to leave. Joy was inspired by one of my Be Creative Day shoots to drop oil and water into a glass and photograph. And you put colored paper, colored gels, colored cellophanes to make these amazing pictures. All in a glass on the dining room table. Yeah, with a macro lens, yeah, with some lights, but this is oil in a glass of water, gang. That's all it is. And she calls it other worlds. And they certainly do look from other worlds to me. Yeah, very powerful. So there's no limit to what you can do with your project. There's no limit to the photography that you can do. There's no limit to the experimentation that you can do and what your vision is and what your idea is. And again, if you don't have an idea, we'll help you with that. Evelyn did beach shadows this year. Kind of going back to her sand creatures from 4 years ago, but look at this. Look what Evelyn did in combining what she did and what Gail did with her umbra. I mean, these are powerful images, right? Where you take your spin, your idea, your vision, your power, and turn it into something. Make it into something that's creative. Joyce was going to the Botanic Gardens, and she started photographing flowers and then got enthralled because she was able to, she took the macro class where we talked about how to photograph insects and really learned how to do that and got amazing images and transformed her projects from flowers to the birds and the bees because she was able to photograph and get all these beautiful pictures. Right. And once again, her challenge, 50 great images. How do you get it down to 12? You can't show 50, right? Which are the 12? What order do they go in? How do you tell the story with it? And that's what we work on in class. We work on every single aspect of this. It's up to you to photograph. And with the class, we work together to build the presentation, to build the photography, to build your story. Carol this year did the City of Angles. And once again, an architecture project where she went out photographing shapes and lines. And it's really funny, I haven't ever looked at 4 years or 5 years worth of projects together, but how there's so many themes that come back, but they're treated completely differently. And the photographers take a different approach to all of them. And that's all part of the power of what we do. And Carol again, so what shapes, what angles, how does it work? How do they play together? Creating the images were not an issue for her. It was editing and bringing them together and how the images played together that were the secret for her and how it worked. Yeah. Tammy Johnson's apron strings. So last year she did her son leaving the nest. This year she and her kids were stuck at home and her mom is nearby. So her mom likes to bake and the kids like to eat. So they went into the kitchen together time and time again. And she made these beautiful images in the kitchen telling the story about cooking with grandma. And these are stunning to me. And not only are they stunning, I know what they're going to mean to her family in 20 years or 10 years. About what they're going to look like and feel like. And how her kids and her mom are going to react to these images when they see them. Yeah. Not all of our pictures can do this, but some can. And if we take the right approach, we'll all be in a position to make these amazing and powerful pictures. Yeah. So gang, I want to thank you for being here tonight. I want to thank you for being part of this. Does anybody have any questions for me? Any of the advanced students want to chime in? I know you guys have been chiming all along, and I really appreciate that. But anybody? I know we're a little over time. We're almost 2 hours. I promised to be 90 minutes, but I got a little involved in the photos. I always get involved in the photos when I see your photos. It's just I have a great passion for it. Thank you, Rosa. Thank you. Hopefully, you guys will join us. There's still room for half a dozen people to join us in the project group on Tuesday nights. I hope that you don't feel intimidated. I hope you feel empowered and enthusiastic and inspired that you can do this. It looks easy because the people who are doing it have really spent the time and the effort on it. And if you spend the time and the effort on it, then we'll get you taken care of. So being asked, are black and white pictures better than color pictures? No. So you choose together with the class. When you design your project, you generally design whether it's going to be in color or black and white because of the type of images you're going to produce. And I do a lot of black and white, so the students challenged me to do one in color, so I did color this year. So is it me or do you see an overall? Yes. Oh, yes, Teresa. The projects are getting better because people keep looking at old projects, and you know what? I learned how to teach it better. I learned how to communicate what we're doing, and we just keep growing. The projects keep growing, and the projects keep getting stronger. And I think it's great. I think it's great that we have new people. You know, we'll have about half of the people in the class this year will be new to the project class, which is awesome. And that's why instead of having 3 advanced classes in 2020, we're having 6 in 2021. So the group spreads out and we get more new people in. Yeah. So, and you're right, Linda, the journey is amazing. Did I miss any questions? Did I miss anything, anybody? I probably don't mean to ignore you. Thank you, Mark. Yes, you will experience awesome growth. You know, you may not learn what your f-stop is, but you're going to certainly learn how to be a photographer. That's the whole point. Thank you, Evelyn. Oh, that was Evelyn who said if you grow, yes. Thank you, Mark. Your next shot will be much better. Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the final moments of the advanced photography preview. So you got to hear from Dennis Keeley and I. You got to hear from Corey Saveri and I. You got to hear from Jill Sanders and I. And you got to hear from me tonight. You will get tomorrow a link to all of the project previews if you haven't had a chance to watch them all. And hopefully you'll all be signing up for a class here at the Creative Photo Academy. I don't want anybody to be intimidated. We will make this happen for you. We will get you going. It's me, it's our other instructors, but more than that, it's you. It's the crew. It's the other photographers in the class who are your inspiration, because we drive each other, we push each other to be better, and together we have great success. And gang, that's what you don't get on YouTube. You know, you don't get this community, and we have such a powerful, strong community. So January 4th, intermediate preview, if you want to explore the intermediate classes. January 5th, boot camp preview, if you want to explore the boot camp. Thank you, Schwerty. Yes, awesome sauce. You're learning. Yes. Anybody else? Questions? I'm going to give the 5, 4. Oh. So Carol, Teresa says, if you've done boot camp and you're not successful, come back and reboot. Says rebooting really helps. I agree. If you took boot camp 5 years ago and you haven't been doing much, come and do boot camp again. Great. So Bart, Christmas shirt every day during December, new Christmas shirt every day. So we're rocking this. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, guys. Any questions, write to me, call me. You'll look for that email tomorrow with the link to all of the recordings and the link to sign up. We really have a hard number on the advanced classes. After they're full, person number 25 is the last spot. Person number 26 doesn't get to go in. So Oh yeah, we'll do Facebook Live tomorrow, Teresa. We just didn't get a chance today. It didn't work out. But we'll do Facebook Live again tomorrow. I promise you that. I don't know. It depends on what time I get it done. You know, today things just went kind of crazy around here. So, all right, guys. So Donna, you can sign up online at creativephotoacademy.com, or you can call Lucy tomorrow. Oh, I do have some bad news, guys. Lucy is leaving us in March. For those of you who know Lucy, we love Lucy, but Lucy and her husband are going on a trip around the country in their new trailer. So we have Sam now. Sam is the new Lucy, and you'll get to meet Sam. She's awesome. She's in training right now. So if you call tomorrow, you get to talk to Sam and Lucy. They'll get you registered. Yeah, Lucy's going to leave. She's, you know, in her 20s, she's going to go see the world, and I just really support her in that. So it's going to be awesome. So, all right, guys, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for being part of this. I hope that you sign up. I hope each and every one of you sign up for a class. We'd love to have you part of what we do at Creative Photo Academy. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah. Be safe, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow.